This is Rummy's Corner.
I don't know shit about boxing. What else is new? Was it a matter of Tyson Fury being that bad? Or was it a matter of Francis Ngannou being far better than many expected, myself included? I don't know, but I suspect it's probably a little from column A and a little from B. But what I do know is that Tyson Fury is his own worst enemy. When Tyson Fury challenged long-reigning heavyweight king Vladimir Klitschko back in November 2015, few people were giving him much of a chance, me included. In fact, the first heavyweight championship prediction I did on this channel was when I picked Vlad to stop Fury in round 5, I believe. That obviously did not happen. Fury rose to the occasion and largely outclassed Vladimir. Not that Fury did a whole lot on offense, but he never really needed to. He completely neutralized the potent offense of Vladimir Klitschko, a man who had made 18 consecutive title defenses going into that one. Only the great Joe Louis and Larry Holmes, the Eastern Assassin, had more. Vladimir was a dominant champion because he was a consistent force who methodically broke opponents down mentally and physically by using a terrific jab, outstanding all-around boxing ability. He could use his size to his advantage, and he had devastating two-handed knockout power. During his long and dominant reign, Vladimir barely lost a round along the way, but against Fury, Vladimir simply had no answers. Fury was utilizing that mesmerizing, herky-jerky, itchy-twitchy style, and the constant movement of foot, head, and upper body befuddled Vladimir, never providing him with a steady target. Klitschko had no plan B, and Fury never really had to take things out of first gear. Vladimir was unable to control center ring, he never got his jab going, and he had no idea how to attack the constantly moving target. At the end of the day, Fury was awarded a 12-round unanimous decision. The victory earned him the IBF belt, the WBA Super Duper belt, the WBO belt, and Fury also earned a valid claim as the lineal World Heavyweight Champion, the man who beat the man. At 27 years old, Tyson Fury was on top of the world, and the Klitschko era was evidently over. 10 days later, Fury was stripped by the IBF because he was obligated to have a rematch with Vladimir. Then there was the thing with the British Boxing Board of Control saying Fury had failed the test back in February 2015. But strangely enough, they never made that public until June of 2016, with Fury having defeated Vlad in the interim. The Triple B of C said Fury had tested positive for nandrolone. Later, he tested positive for cocaine, and at this point, Fury was suffering from mental depression. The Vlad rematch never happened, and Fury vacated the WBA and WBO belts before stepping away from boxing, and his boxing license was suspended by the board. What could have potentially been a starting point for a promising heavyweight championship legacy, Fury would not fight at all in 2016 or 2017. When he made his return in June of 2018, he did not appear to be in particularly great shape. But to his credit, after winning a few tune-up bouts, he challenged undefeated WBC champion Deontay Wilder. It was an interesting situation, because Fury himself was undefeated, and he still held a valid claim to the lineage, having never lost that distinction inside the ring. Fury put on a strong performance and appeared to win most rounds, showing flashes of his former self from the Vladimir win. But Fury was dropped twice along the way, viciously so in the 12th and final round, where Fury somehow managed his way back to his feet before finishing the fight strong. It was ultimately ruled a draw, but Fury was officially back on the map. The rest is boxing history. Fury switched up his approach and he stopped Wilder in a dominant effort in their February 2020 rematch to win the WBC belt. Then COVID hit. Fury was unable to secure an undisputed showdown against Anthony Joshua because he was contractually obligated to face Wilder a third time, and Fury went on to defeat Wilder in their trilogy bout, an instant classic in the era-defining heavyweight trilogy. It was a story of redemption, where after hitting rock bottom, Fury rose back to the top and did so in dramatic style. That third fight with Wilder happened 2 weeks after Oleksandr Usyk defeated Anthony Joshua by 12-round unanimous decision. With the victory, Usyk earned himself the IBF belt, the WBA Super Duper belt, and the WBO belt. All 3 belts which previously belonged to Fury, belts he never actually lost inside the ring. And that is basically where we are. Fury went on to stop Dillian Whyte. Usyk went on to win another decision in his rematch with AJ. Fury won another fight against a man he'd already beaten twice previously, Derek Chisora. And that's where Fury's redemption arc kind of headed south. Many fans were critical of Chisora as a choice of opponent. I didn't think it was a big deal, because he had just made his mandatory defense, and it's not unusual to have a soft touch after a mandatory. And I otherwise believe it's better for boxers to remain active than inactive. But the problems for Fury's reputation got much worse earlier this year, when Fury and Usyk were unable to agree on terms for an undisputed showdown that would have happened back in April. The general perception as I read it was that Fury was viewed as being greedy, demanding a 70-30 split, and ultimately Fury was the one who received the bulk of the blame for the undisputed showdown falling apart, kinda like the situation with Bo and Lewis, where Bo dumped the WBC belt into a trash can. To this day, people continue to claim Bo ducked Lewis, and the reaction to Fury is similar to the reaction to Bo. Whatever the reality, perception runs supreme, and Bo and Fury are the ones taking the blame. Usyk went on to beat his WBA mandatory challenger Daniel Dubois back in August. Aside from the uproar involving the low blow controversy, Usyk dominated the fight and stopped Dubois. That was the first time the WBA enforced a mandatory in nearly 5 years, since AJ beat Povetkin all the way back in September 2018. And incidentally, it has been nearly 3 years since the IBF last enforced a mandatory in December 2020 when AJ beat Pulev, and it has been more than 2 years since the WBO enforced a mandatory, which was when Usyk got his shot against AJ. So anyway, Usyk defeated Dubois in dominant style without much issue, and it is still a bit of a head-scratcher that Dubois was ever a mandatory challenger to begin with. Fury's decision to have this circus-type event against former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou was another highly criticized move on the part of Fury. Naturally, boxing fans prefer to see heavyweight champions face better opposition than a man making his professional boxing debut. And unfortunately for Fury, karma bit him in the ass on this one, because the fight against Ngannou wound up being an all-around nightmare for the Gypsy King. At the end of the day, Fury escaped with a razor-thin split-decision victory against a 37-year-old man making his professional boxing debut. Ngannou impressed me. I definitely underrated his all-around boxing ability, but what most impressed me was how disciplined and patient he was. Ngannou was selective with his output while exhibiting good balance, he had solid timing, and perhaps most amazingly, he paced himself accordingly and displayed great stamina and granite durability. I was mighty impressed. I don't know shit about boxing, and I certainly don't know shit about UFC and MMA. From what I had seen of Ngannou, I did not think his ability would translate well into professional boxing. I was wrong. Dead wrong. Ngannou presented himself like a bona fide pro out there. I was also wrong in thinking Fury wouldn't look to make an early statement. I think Fury was trying to make an early statement, but Ngannou proved tougher, smarter, and more durable than he was expecting. When Fury got dropped, it was a beautiful counter from Ngannou. And as good as Ngannou looked, Fury often looked lost in there, as if he had no real game plan whatsoever, almost like he figured he'd just wing it. I'm a bit baffled that Fury did not work and move behind his jab and just wait to exploit the openings if and when they surfaced. Fury was still attempting to do all the little things he has been famously known for dating back to that victory against Klitschko 8 years ago, but he was visibly slower than ever, his all-around movement was less vibrant, he was not being especially defensively responsible, and he was uncharacteristically being outmuscled and even outmaneuvered when the two were in tight. Fury also, all too often, didn't seem to be pulling the trigger whenever Ngannou provided him with a clean opening. Fury was also at times displaying some poor balance on his part. At the end of the day, Fury was awarded a 10-round split decision victory. Many people, however, believe Ngannou deserved to win. For what it's worth, I had Fury edging it out in a close one. But even though I believe Fury won the fight, as did 2 of the 3 judges, it doesn't matter. Ngannou clearly won the event. It was supposed to be a one-sided mismatch, and instead Ngannou won more rounds against Fury than anyone else has in years. Tyson Fury is now at a crossroad, and if he expects to have any chance whatsoever against a master boxer with sublime skills, incredible stamina, a high output, brilliant ring smarts, and stone-cold toughness with an impeccable will to win, Fury is going to need to step up. He has done it before. Just coming back from his 3-year absence was a moral victory in itself. And after a more difficult than expected fight against Otto Wallin, Fury bounced back with the dominant victory in his second fight against Wilder. But part of me thinks, to use a Rocky analogy, that Fury has kind of lost that eye of the tiger. And beyond that, his reputation is in the gutter among diehard boxing fans. He got civilized. He has newfound celebrity status, a Netflix series. He's been making big money after previously defeating his personal demons. But this is still a bit of a black mark for Fury in the sense that, A, boxing fans wanted him to defend against real top heavyweight contenders, and B, he was expected to win easily against a 37-year-old guy making his professional boxing debut. Ngannou won the event. He made a competitive fight against the lineal heavyweight champion, and he dropped him on his backside. And he didn't just drop him with some wild haymaker, he dropped him with a superbly timed catapult counter. And according to many reputable boxing people, Ngannou deserved to win. Even if Fury can get in the best shape possible at this time with an unwavering will, there is no guarantee that his body will cooperate, because not only is Fury getting older, but his lifestyle and his ballooning up in weight in between fights might be catching up to him along with Father Time. And even if his body does cooperate, and he gets himself back into the best condition possible, with an unwavering will, there are still no guarantees that he can beat the master boxer that is Oleksandr Usyk. Once upon a time, Fury had all the potential to perhaps become one of the truly great heavyweights. And through nobody's fault but his own, he wasted what could have been 3 of his prime fighting years. To his credit, he resurrected his career, and he did so in triumphant style. But this last year, he ruined much of the goodwill he had built in the boxing world, and now his reputation is badly tainted. He has a chance to once again redeem himself if he can beat Usyk. Assuming it happens, regardless of whether he wins or loses, once Fury and Usyk have finished their business, I think Fury might have an obligation to offer Ngannou a rematch. And regardless, I'd love to see what Ngannou can do against other top heavyweights, maybe even a guy like Deontay Wilder, who has not fought in over a year now. At the end of the day, Tyson Fury has nobody but himself to blame for the state of his reputation, between choosing Chisora as an opponent, being perceived as the one who bottled the original negotiations with Usyk, choosing a 37-year-old guy making his boxing debut as an opponent, and then having a difficult fight where many credible observers in the boxing community believe he should have lost. If Fury cares about his legacy, and to be sure, I definitely think he does, regardless of what he may otherwise claim, He needs to regain that eye of the tiger if he wants to give himself his best chance at beating Usyk and at redeeming himself after his subpar showing against Francis Ngannou. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.